I'm Jonathan Goldstein, and you're listening to Wiretap on CBC Radio 1 and Sirius Satellite Radio 159. Today's episode, All the World's a Stage, in which TV star Randy Donde is forced into retirement at the ripe old age of 12. A cuter, younger actor is brought in to replace him, and a torch is passed, begrudgingly, from tween to pre-tween.
Welcome everyone, it's the Randy Dandy Show. Always having fun with his sister and his bro. He's always so dandy, it's the Randy Dandy Show.
Stay dandy.
Well, I'm off to military school.
All packed, Randy?
Yeah, Dad.
I'm gonna miss you, little bro.
I'll miss you too, sis. What I won't miss is your pantyhose drying in the bathroom.
Well, it's too bad you're going to be gone for good and never coming back, Randy. But I guess that's all part of growing up. At least we have your newly adopted little brother Brandon to live in your room and take care of your pet python, Justin Timbersnake.
Take good care of him, Squirt. Remember, 2 dead mice a day.
From now on, he'll be eating rutabagas. I'm making him into a vegetarian.
Well, Randy, a cab's waiting outside.
Oh, bye, Randy.
Stay dandy.
Randy's always dandy. And I'm out.
Dear Mr. Donde, I hope this finds you well. What a week it's been. Playing Brandon has been a thrill ride. Show rehearsals, costume fittings, meet and greets, not to mention the press. Insane, but awesome. To the business at hand. You left behind your Candy Banana Kids' Choice Award for Best Newcomer. Should I have my assistant mail it? Or do you expect to pass by the TV studio at any time soon? I'd be stoked if you did. I'd love to pick your brain on a ton of stuff. Yours are some pretty big shoes to fill. Children's size 12s. Or so I'm told by your former cobbler. LOL. Hope retirement is treating you well. Smiley face. Elijah Logan Greenberg.
Elijah, glad to hear you're making yourself comfortable in my old dressing room. Air the place out. I'm sure the old man stink is revolting. Funny to hear from you just now as I sit re-watching an old episode of Randy Dandy, Season 2. The one where Randy wants to delete an email he sent to his principal, tries to break into his office, and gets stuck in the air vent. Still holds up. You know, after shooting, they had to grease me out with an industrial jar of Vaseline. To the banana. It feels just like yesterday that I won it, and not a whole year and a half ago. One day you're leading the Walt Disney Parade down Main Street, and the next, your voice is cracking, and you're rationing your pimple cream until the next residual check arrives. Keep the banana, though I'm sure pretty soon you'll have a shelf full of your own. When they brought you on last season as a little latchkey kid across the street, I knew my days were numbered. But what can I say? You had talent. Talent for usurping. Talent for weaseling. Talent for backstabbing your way to the top. These are all good qualities in this business. Yours, Randy Donde.
Dear Randy, I will cherish that banana always, and I never meant to step on any toes, least of all yours. If it wasn't for you and your important work, I'd never have gotten into this business in the first place. I remember watching you deliver the closing words of your speech at the Kids' Choice Awards. Haters gonna hate, so let 'em. School sucks and I'm out. Brilliant. I even had a school sucks and I'm out hoodie. Of which, I have a question. Who handles the Randy brand? I'm looking for good people. Elijah.
Elijah, You remind me of a young me, itching to get your brand out there. In my day, I was the king. The rap album, the Christmas rap album, my own J.C. Penney back to school line, the Donde Duotang with the trademarked school sucks pencils, erasers, and protractors. Did you know that in 1 week, I'd get 17,000 fan letters? Tween girls would bribe my manicurist for fingernail clippings. When I said, talk to the hand, a nation talked to the hand. My hand. And now, I'm awaiting a callback for a low-budget indie film about band camp. 3 years of diction and dancing class so I can deliver 3 lines and blow into a sousaphone? Such is the fate of a child actor of a certain age. Regarding branding, get in touch with Mitch at Schechter & Associates. Oh, and do me a favor. Tell him I'm still waiting to hear back from him about my line of teen cologne, Gettin' Randy. Best wishes, Randy.
Randy, I can't tell you how great it is to have you to turn to with this stuff. Someone who's been through it, that I can trust, you know? And indies, my agent Sid Rosenblatt, says that you should only do them if a Coppola's directing. Forget that. You should come back for an episode. It'd be so much fun. In the meantime, here's another question for you. Sometimes when I give a line, the director tells me to sound more adorable. Can I be more adorable? Is such a thing even possible? Yours truly, Elijah.
Elijah, if those SOBs could put you on a scale that weighs adorability, you'd see that you were losing pounds of it by the day. I'm living proof of that. And if they try to make you suck your thumb, kiss a puppy, or eat a sundae without a napkin, tell them to hit the pavement. Those are all desperate moves that demean our industry. But you could try a bowl cut, or snorting a little helium between takes for the higher, cuter octaves. No matter. Cute fades. One day you're going to take the dais at the Nickelodeon Awards, poke your index finger into your dimple and say, I can't believe I made a mistakey, and listen to the sound of an audience collectively swallowing down a lump of its own vomit. I'll never forget the day I woke up and found my first piece of chin stubble. My mom's was on it with her tweezers and makeup, but it was all downhill from there. Who's directing now, anyway? If it's Phil, threaten to tell his wife about when you caught him trying on the sequined merman suit you wore for the special aquatic musical episode. He'll fall into line fast. And if you felt like putting out feelers about my making a guest appearance, I wouldn't say no. Who am I kidding? If I'm lucky, in 20 years, you'll see me on some late-night commercial for credit loans. But, see what you can do, I guess. I miss you guys. Aww. Randy.
Sweet. Thanks for the tips. And as for the cameo, consider it done. We have a very special episode coming up where the school concierge, old Mr. Fincher, dies. Morris's contract was up, so he got killed off. Maybe Randy could show up at the funeral. And about that funeral, I'm really going to need to cry. I have tried onions. I have even tried picturing my Labradoodle Elliot getting hit by a bus. Nothing. Any advice? I know that People magazine once called you King of the Waterworks.
Indeed, I was famous for crying on cue. No more ice cream. Here come the tears. Nana killed Santa Claus. Great episode, by the way. Here come the tears. They called me Baby De Niro, after some old actor guy everyone raves about. You think you got nothing left? I imagine my dog dead, my little brother dead, my mother dead. After a while, it was like squeezing a sun-dried lemon rind to make lemonade. I think God only gives you so many tears, and I've wasted mine. Don't give up on onions. They're a child actor's best pal. You just gotta get them right in under the eyelids. And a funeral guest spot sounds great. Maybe I could sing in it. I do a pretty decent Danny boy, if I do say so myself. It'll be fun. I mean, not a full-on comeback, but for old time's sake, once in a while. Christmas episodes, that kind of thing. Looking forward, Randy. Hey there, buddy. Haven't heard back from you in weeks. About my making a guest appearance? That part I was auditioning for in the indie movie, well, it fell through, so I could use the work. Anyway, hope to hear back from you soon. Papa needs his acne lotion. Randy Donde.
Thanks for your email. While Elijah does try to read all of his fan mail, because of the high volume, he can't personally respond to it all. But if you send us your name and address, we'd be more than happy to mail you a signed color glossy and a catalog of Elijah's latest line from H&M, Latchkey Orphanwear, clothes for kids who have everything but parents. Elijah wishes you a dandy day and wants to remind you to check out his new Elijah Energy Drinks. The containers are reusable because global warming sucks.
So a few years ago, I applied for this job at an ad agency, and they were looking for a photo editor. And I didn't have that much experience in the field, but I was just so sick of working these, 2 to 3 month contract jobs, composting my friends' worm bins for $10 on the weekend, or painting my grandmother's closets for, $100 every year. I wanted benefits. I wanted business cards. I wanted a door. So I thought, why not give it a shot? Why not apply? Mm-hmm. And I was just waiting in the waiting room along with like 15 other people who looked just like me.
What do you mean? What do you call artsy types?
Yeah, they're artsy types. They have the horn rim glasses and the funky asymmetrical haircuts. And I'm sitting there and I just started getting more and more nervous as all these people were getting called in and they were just totally bouncing out of the boss's office. And the girl next to me was looking over a resume and I just happened to catch a glimpse of it over her shoulder. And I just couldn't believe it. Like, I looked at her resume and I thought she was one of the schlubbier looking ones. And she had interned with like Annie Leibovitz and Richard Avedon and was a Rhodes Scholar and like went to an Ivy League school. I mean, at that point I was like, there's no way I'm getting this job.
Like, what does your resume have?
It's like 2 years of community college plus like a year in India living on an ashram. I mean, I have like a couple artistic things on there and I've done a ton of projects, but I haven't interned with Richard Avedon. I mean, I didn't stand a chance. So I'm sitting there freaking out in the waiting room and all of a sudden the boss calls me into his office and I walk in knowing that there's no way I'm going to get this job. And I sit down and, it's this giant carpeted, impressive, cool office and he's sitting there with his fancy pen looking over my resume, totally disinterested in me. And finally he asked me, where did you hear about this job? And the first words out of my mouth were, oh, I think I saw it on Craigslist.
Wait, what was that? Is that supposed to be an Irish accent?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just totally panicked. Like, I felt like I needed to do something to stand out, and maybe, like, as an international candidate, I'd stand a better chance.
Okay, and why Irish?
I have no idea. I really didn't even have time to think it through. I just blurted it out, and right away, his eyes perked up, and he dropped his pen, and he looked at me and was like, oh, you're Irish. And I was like, yeah. Born and raised. That's you being Irish? I know, it's not great, but he was into it. Like, the second I did that, he perked up and was like immediately wrapped. And I was like, crap, what have I gotten myself into? And then he just kept asking me interview questions, Like, where are you from? Which I should have probably thought of if I'm going to be Irish. And the first thing that comes to mind is Limerick. And he's like, oh, I love limericks.
Do you know anything about Ireland? Have you been to Ireland?
I was there when I was like 12 on a 2-hour layover.
Right. So you don't know anything about Limerick.
No, it's just like the town pops in my head, like Dublin, duh. I should have just said Dublin, but instead I say, oh, Limerick. And then he's like, oh, you must have like a whole treasure trove of limericks.
So do you? Do you have tons of limericks at your disposal?
No, I didn't. I mean, the only one I had like in my mind was this one from 7th grade, which is like totally disgusting and inappropriate. So instead, I just made up this story about how everyone in Limerick actually hates limericks because they're so sick of them. So I didn't have one handy.
And he bought that?
Yeah, he was just like, oh, yeah, I could see that.
So the job interview goes well?
Yeah, it goes so well that, ta-da, I get the job.
You're kidding.
No, I know.
And you think you got this job because you were Irish?
I mean, that's the only thing that could explain it. There was so many more qualified people than me. I really think he was just charmed by it.
So, all right, so you've got the job. How do you keep this up?
At first it's kind of fun. It's like, all right, here's my side project. Like, when I get home, I'm going online, I'm looking up Irish food, I'm making Irish recipes, I'm like buying Tin Lizzy albums and Pogues records, and so it was kind of thrilling.
And so was everybody else in the office as charmed by you in this accent as the boss?
Oh yeah, people loved it.
I mean, not to put down your accent or anything, but I mean, it's not the greatest.
No, I mean, the accent sounded like crap to my own ears, but they bought it. I mean, people hear an accent. I don't know. It's not like they're watching me as closely as I'm watching myself.
Mm-hmm.
There was this one idiot guy who worked in the mailroom who like called me Lady Di and would ask me about like the Arsenal game and football, and I was like, I'm Irish. I'm not British. He'd be like, whatever, same diff.
And so how long were you there?
2 years.
No.
Yeah.
2 years of this.
I know. I mean, I've never kept up any job for 2 years, let alone a job where I was having to do an Irish accent.
I notice also, actually, when you're doing the Irish accent, it sounds, I mean, your voice gets a little more high-pitched. Was your personality changing, too?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a little bubblier.
Uh-huh.
That helped me, because then when I would screw something up, I could just kind of, like, pull off a little leprechaun.
What's pulling off a little leprechaun?
Well, that's what, in my own mind, I referred to as, when I would, wink and kick up my heel and create a diversion for them.
No, not literally. You didn't literally, like, kick up your heels and do a jig.
No, but, I mean, I would just kind of, like, super turn on the charm. I mean, one time I erased an entire hard drive with like a year's worth of archival photos on it. And I'm just like, I didn't know what to do. So I just kind of launched into this yarn about, how, this totally reminds me of the time my Uncle Seamus accidentally let the sheep in the house and he ate all the soda bread. And they would be totally charmed.
And so you never came close to getting caught?
Well, there were a few incidents when I thought for sure I was going to get found out. Like this one time I came into the office after a lunch break and they had a client who had just come in from Dublin and they were like, oh, you have to meet so-and-so. You guys must have so much in common. And I spoke maybe 5 words to him before I erupted in a coughing fit and ran into the bathroom. And I stayed in there for like an hour at least until he was gone. So, I just did what I had to do to make it work. I avoided so many catastrophes. And, I mean, it worked beautifully until I met Mark.
Who was Mark?
Mark was hired as a new copy editor.
Uh-huh.
And he was very charming and very persistent.
How do you mean?
Well, I mean, the second I saw him, I knew that there was chemistry there, and he would just flirt with me. I mean, at first, just a little, subtly. He would, like, make me mix CDs of, like, Japanese noise bands, and then, he would just start asking me out.
Uh-huh, and?
I would say no. I mean, I just couldn't afford to risk getting close to someone. I mean, I liked him, and if we started dating and it worked, which it seemed like I could have, like, what was I going to do? Like, keep pretending, and then, you know, we date for a long time, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, I want to meet your parents, and like, what am I gonna do? Like, take him to Ireland and, you know, find someone to play my Uncle Seamus, all these stories I've been telling everyone? I mean, I'm not that crazy.
No, of course not. You're not that crazy.
No, I'm not that crazy. But, I mean, he just kept on at it, and I was lonely.
And he was cute, right?
Yeah, he's totally cute. I mean, totally my type. And then one Friday, he came by my office and, you know, asked me to get a drink, and I just didn't have any more excuses to give him. And I thought, what the hell? I'll just go out for one drink. Like, what's it gonna hurt? We're just gonna go out for one drink. Mm. So he took me out to a bar a couple blocks from work where I knew none of my friends would ever go. And, you know, we ordered a drink. And one drink turns into 2 drinks, turns into a couple shots, turns into more drinks, and all of a sudden we're playing darts, and then we're playing pool, and I'm finding myself totally falling for this guy. The drunker I'm getting, the more relaxed I'm feeling, and the more like me I'm feeling, and the more my accent starts to slide, but it's kind of like the less I start to care. You know, I'm having fun, and I like him so much, and at one point when we're playing pool, he makes a joke about me sounding more like an American, like, oh, you must, you know, have really started to acclimate, you're sounding a little bit more like everyone else. And I knew at that moment that I could either keep him at an arm's length and keep up the lie, or I could tell him, I could let him in, and this could be something that we both share and laugh about and find is like totally crazy and hilarious. And I wanted to be myself. I wanted him to like me. And so I looked at him and I just said, Mark, I got something to tell ya. This is how I really talk. I'm not Irish. And he looked at me and was like, what? Wait, what? And, you know, I just launched into everything. I just let the whole 2 years unravel, from the job interview to the moment when the Irish executives came to visit and I had to, you know, fake an irritable bowel syndrome attack. And I'm like laughing about it and telling him like all the crazy shenanigans I've had to pull to make this work. And when I'm finally done with the story, you know, I'm so relieved and so unburdened. And I look over at him and he is totally stone-faced. And he clearly thinks I'm crazy. The rest of the night was a blur. I don't even know how I got home. All I remember is just sitting on my couch sobbing, like all weekend long. I can't eat, I can't sleep, I'm just freaked out. I feel like Monday, it's all over. He's gonna tell everybody, like the jig is up. So I get into the office Monday and I'm just shaking. I feel like any second I know my boss is going to call me in and fire me. But as I'm sitting there just paralyzed, this email comes into my inbox from Mark. And it's really short. He just writes, "What you're doing makes no sense to me. But don't worry. I'm not going to tell anyone." And with that, I go on with the rest of my day. And so life just kept on there. Except now I have this witness to everything I'm doing. I mean, everything I say in an editorial meeting, every time I have a conversation where he's within earshot, I feel like he's watching me. And I'm watching myself in a way that I wasn't before. And where I thought I was going to have this confidant, I ended up having a mirror following me around everywhere I went. And it was a reflection I didn't want to look at.
Did you feel like you were always waiting for the other shoe to drop? Like he could tell on you at any moment?
No. I mean, and that's the thing. Like, he is such a good guy. Like, he treated me totally normally. Totally the same. It was just torture. So, like, a few weeks later, I just I had to quit. And this was the best job I ever had. I'm unemployed now, but, I mean, at least I'm me.
Did you ever get in touch with Mark?
No, I mean, I still haven't. I mean, we're Facebook friends now, whatever that means, and I stalk him from time to time, but I never write anything, even on his birthday. I just kind of look at him from afar, and maybe that's part of my penance.
On Wiretap today, you heard Jennifer Brandel, Caleb Foster as Randy Donday, Ben Bisayon as Elijah Logan Greenberg, and Katy Malik as Mr. Greenberg's assistant. Special thanks to Lindsay Michael for singing the Randy Dandy theme song, and Frank Apolco for playing the part of Randy's dad. We'd also like to thank Brendan Baker for mixing the Randy Dandy TV clip. Brendan is a producer for the Love and Radio podcast at loveandradio.org. Wiretap is produced by Mira Bertwin-Tonic, Crystal Duhame, and me, Jonathan Goldstein. Subscribe to the podcast at cbc.ca/wiretap, where you can also download the latest Wiretap ringtone.
I can't believe I made a mistakey.
Fess up to the ongoing catastrophe that is your life with every ring of your phone.
Looking for more CBC podcasts? Go to cbc.ca/podcasting.